Okay. Hi everyone, this is SmithyQ from SmithyQ.com. I'm here with another miniature game this week. This is a classic, almost 150 years old now at this point. This is Linden versus Maxwutski. In the 1800s this is played, and it's played in the romantic Danish Gambit, in which white's going to sacrifice several pawns to try and get a vicious attack. And of course, because this was played over 100 years ago, they didn't know how to defend, and so white does win with a vicious attack. Spoiler alert. What I want to do with this game is first we'll look at the attack, we'll see how easy it is, and then we're going to try and think of a defensive way as black or on the defender. How do we deal with something like this? Because if you play chess at club level, if you ever play blitz, you're going to see gambits, you're going to be attacked sooner or later, right? We can't always be the one attacking. So what can we do instead? What's sort of the options? So first, let's just look at the game quickly. It's pretty. And so the opening again, it was the Danish Gambit, where white offers a pawn, then another one, then another one. So he won one pawn back, right? But he's down two pawns. In exchange, he has both his bishops developed, and they're on absolutely beautiful diagonals, right? This one's going into f7. This bishop's going into g7, so that pawn is always going to be a liability for black. Black needs to be very careful. Indeed, in this position, black does need to be careful, because yes, he's up pawns, but there's a lot of open lines aimed right at his king. So what black wants to do is he wants to develop fast and then castle, which makes a lot of sense. So he plays bishop b4 check first. So it's with check, so white needs to do something. He develops the knight, and then black brings his knight out. So far, so good. Things look okay. White plays knight e2 here, which is interesting. And then black, he makes a typical 19th century move here, is he plays knight takes e4. And when I see moves like this, I almost want to reach over and shake the black player. What are you doing? Why are you doing this? You're already up two pawns. You don't need another pawn. Why are you taking this pawn? Is that the most important thing in the world? If you don't win another pawn, heck, you could give up a pawn and you're still ahead in material. You don't need more. You're just giving white what he wants. And one of the general rules, which I've heard, this has been parroted in some books I've seen, and some strong players have told me in the past, is that if someone offers you one pawn, in general, take it. But if they start offering two or three, hold back. You want to wait. Get consolidated. So get your pieces developed. Make sure your king is safe. Try and get a plan. And if you have all of that, then you can start winning pawns again, right? But if you have, you can win all 8 pawns, but if you get checkmated, it doesn't help. And that's what happens here. Black could easily play d6, or he could just castle. Maybe even just try d5, giving up a pawn for rapid development. He could try all of these things. Instead, he takes a pawn. Now white castles, and if we notice, white has all of his minor pieces developed. His queen can potentially come to d5 or to b3. And because black has so helpfully taken the pawn, now the e-file is opened up. So rook e1 could be coming. So white's got an attack. A very easy, very powerful attack coming. And now black, he makes sort of the second mistake. This is also quite common. Black is ahead in material, and so he wants to simplify. We've probably heard that before. Is that if you're up material, you want to trade pieces so you can then win in the endgame. Which is true. If black could live until the endgame, he has 3 extra pawns, he's going to win easily. However, once he exchanges, there's no way black is going to make it to the endgame. He's probably not going to make it to the middle game in this position. Look, white has just about every piece developed. Both his bishops are still hitting at the king. Rook e1 is now coming with check. And black's in trouble. The queen can come to d5, or g4, or h5. Huge threats. And if you look at black, he essentially has the starting position The only difference is that he's lost his bishop, he's lost his knight, and he's lost the pawn. Seriously, if we go back 10 moves, look at the very beginning, and we go back to here, nothing has changed except black has lost pieces and white is fully developed. And well, black is lost. He cannot withstand the following attack. And white already has massive, massive threats. I just outlined them. Rook e1 is probably the biggest. And I think the thing we need to notice right now is that black would love to castle, but if he does in this position, if he castles, it's actually checkmate right away. Because after queen g4, threatening mate, black would want to play this move, but he can't because of the pin. And then after g6, queen d4, the pawn is still pinned, and it's going to be checkmate on g7 or h8. And that makes perfect sense, because black is defending with his entire army sleeping. There is no defense. If we go back, well, you can't really think of a good move for black. If he tries to develop, knight c6. So after check, he can block it like this. Well, then we've got this very unhappy position, in which, again, disaster is striking down on e7 again. In the game, black played queen g5 to try and hang on. And the idea is the queen is defending this pawn here, and it's stopping the queen from coming to h5 or d5, because then black could exchange queens, which is exactly what black wants. Unfortunately, rook e1 is still here with check. And now, well, it doesn't really matter where black goes. In the game, he went to d8. If you were to go to f8, a very pretty mate would happen. Bishop b4 check. If the king moves again, then rook e8 is a simple back rank mate. But if he tries to block, well, we're just going to take it anyway. And then it's checkmate as well. So going back, after rook e1, he went to king d8. And now white here, he finishes the game off in style. This queen is protecting the g-pawn, and so he distracts the queen. He plays f4. Then after queen takes f4, bishop takes g7, rook g8. For a second here, things might not look that terrible, because after the bishop moves somewhere, he's now got the open g-file. Maybe black can actually do something with that. But then white plays the brilliant move, queen g4. And if he takes it, well, then queen f6 is mate. Wow. Black didn't know what to do. He dropped back to d6. But then after bishop f6, he was forced to resign, because after take, that's checkmate again. Notice how the entire black army is still sleeping over here. What a fantastic attack. Now, to be perfectly fair, this game did have some errors in it. If we look back at this here, the idea of playing f4 and distracting the queen, brilliant idea. Perfect. Unfortunately, black could get this check in, and then after whatever white does, he's got extra time. The computer says black might be able to hold. Instead of f4, h4, which doesn't give black any checks. Right? So that's something useful to think of when you're attacking. Because a lot of times when we attack, we're so busy thinking about our own attack is that we never think about our opponent's counterattack. And here, queen c5, the computer says, could stop white. And such a shame to lose a beautiful winning game because of one check we overlooked. So let's back up. Here, again, how can we stop this from happening to us? Now, the one thing we need to realize is that if our opponent is playing an opening like this, the Danish Gambit, he wants to attack. That's what he wants to do. And if we take all the pawns, just like this, then we're giving our opponent exactly what he wants. And so the general idea is, again, take the first pawn, but then after that, ignore it. Don't worry about it. And in this position, instead of taking the pawn, black has two options he could do. One is he could simply play d3. And now this pawn isn't very useful. It's stopping the knight from coming in. This bishop doesn't have that wonderful diagonal over here, and black's okay. I mean, he doesn't have the best position in the world, but it's a possibility, right? He's not going to lose in 15 moves like he does in the game. Alternatively, perhaps even better, after c3, we get in d5. I believe this is Capablanca's break. This is what he played when he was facing it. Because after this and this, again, because of the c-pawn, there's no easy knight c3 to chase the queen away. And then after here, white actually has an isolated pawn. Notice how black has completely easy development in this position. Both his bishops, both his knights can go to easy squares. He can castle very quickly. He's technically ahead in development, I suppose, because it's his move. He already has his queen out. He can decide what to do. This is an okay position for white, but again, he wanted to sacrifice material at the beginning. And so by getting to a position like this, where it's still equal, where black's probably even better slightly, I think I'd rather be black. That's good. So we don't need to take all the pawns. Alternatively, if we do take the pawns in the Danish Gambit, sort of the equalizing strike that was discovered, and then it made why the Danish Gambit isn't played except for enthusiastic amateurs and in Blitz, is that black can return the material with d5. Then after bishop takes d5, knight f6, he's still up a pawn. And then sort of best play here is this little tactical sequence. Oh, white wins the queen. After bishop b4 check, and the rook's attacking the queen, there's nothing better than this, in which we've reached a completely equal endgame. At the same time, as black, this is pretty happy, right? You're not going to lose to a vicious sacrificial attack. You've got a really easy game now. And again, white, he wanted to sacrifice pawns. He wanted to attack. Well, now he's got this equal endgame. So white's not going to be very happy. And he's more likely to make bad moves and lose in this position if the only thing he knows is attack. So that's that. But the main thing is, in these type of positions, is materialism. If you look here, black is up 2 pawns. And after bishop b4, and we just look at the game here, right now he's doing okay. The computer thinks that black is like half a pawn better, black can probably survive. Computers don't really like gambits. It's kind of hard to always trust them, because especially against a human, who doesn't calculate perfectly like a computer, gambits work fantastic, especially at lower level. But here, the computer thinks black's doing okay, and black probably is doing okay, because he can play d6, he can castle, bring his knight to a normal square, bring his bishop to a normal square, and sure, white's got some pressure. It's probably not 2 pawns worth of pressure. That's what black wants to do. And the reason black got in trouble in this game is that he didn't do any of that. Is that he got greedy and he played knight takes e4, which simply opened more lines. Again, our goal in the opening isn't to win material. Our goal in the opening is to reach a playable middle game. It's to develop our pieces, it's to castle, and then to find a plan, right? By spending all this time, sure, black won a lot of material, but he got into a lost game. And we don't want that to happen, right? Losing isn't fun. That's not the reason we play the chess game. And we'll just look at the finish here one more time, because it was pretty. Rook e1, distract the queen, and then we notice that bishop f6 would be checkmate. The only thing defending f6 is the queen, so we try and push the queen away. And then bishop f6, and that's where black resigned. So fantastic game. So there you go. Another miniature there. This is a kind of a fun one, nice and pretty. Show the Danish Gambit, nice and relatively popular still, especially if you play a lot of Blitz. And there you go. I got some more videos coming out. I got a couple this week. I recently lost the game, actually, so I'm going to have a pretty deep analysis of that. You can take a look, expect that in the next couple of days. I mean, it's never fun analyzing games that you've lost, but, you know, that's important. Again, if you want to, you know, like, subscribe, that'd be awesome. Leave a comment, leave some feedback. Tell me what you'd like to see next. Again, I got a couple of videos planned, but, you know, tell me, and then I'll see what I can do. All right, I love talking about chess. So again, I'm SmithyQ from SmithyQ.com. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and bye for now.